And we're live. Just finished pouring my beverage in time. Everything last minute. How you all going, people who watch this back later? Get to say a quick hello to you. So I wait for people to actually join the live stream. Yes, it's Tuesday night where I am. No idea what it'll be when you watch this, but for me, Tuesday night. Hey, Aussie Brick Chick, how you going? And RC and Rose and Tendai, hello everyone, coming in the door now. Hist Connell, you're on time. You're right on time. I literally just started. So if you've missed the other live streams, you're in at the start of this one. A beverage to keep my throat moisturized while I talk non-stop for an hour or two. Yes, the drink's very important. Everyone always asks, not actually drinking alcohol tonight, so that's okay. Yes, Main Gun, you made it to a live show. Cool, I like it. There's people who've wanted to see live shows who haven't and are here for tonight's, so that's a plus. And as you'll find out, there's heaps to talk about. So many things going on in the world. Plus, we normally make stuff up. Oh, RC, that's one of my topics of conversation. The Australian Liberal Party, which I always have to explain for people in other countries, particularly from the US. The Liberal Party is the major Conservative party in Australia. They form a coalition with the rural party, a rural Conservative party called the Nationals. It used to be called the Country Party, and they wanted to act a bit more worldly, and they called themselves the Nationals because they were the National Country Party. So, yes, there's a Conservative coalition, and then these progressive, for want of a better word, Labor Party in Australia are the two main parties, and we have a range of smaller parties or independents as well. Oh yeah, Tendai, that weird, how the Tories think they're going to get away with that. They basically gave away about $1 billion to this 10-member party, the Democratic Unionist Party, I think DUP stands for, ultra-conservatives from Ireland. So from Northern Ireland, I should say. Yes, science-denying, anti-evolution, homophobic weirdos in bed with the Tories. So that ought to be interesting. And yes, after all the austerity and we can't spend money on services, we can't help people. Oh, but the Prime Minister can have a £1 billion slush fund to shore up her position. You know, that's not hypocrisy. That's not shameless profiteering. No. I mean, look, honestly, let's be fair. I think the same thing would happen whatever party was in power with doing dirty deals like that. Oh, Hist, how's the PC build going? Well, something's wrong with it. Don't know what at the moment. Investigation is required. Young is angry. Put it all together, and then when we plugged in the monitor, it's saying signal not received. No signal being received. So not sure if there's something wrong with the motherboard or with something else. Yes, Tendo, that was the first thing, turning it off and turning it back on. Hey, Becca, I'm very well. I hope you're well too. So yes, the PC build project is suffering a bit of a hiccup at the moment. Will hopefully get resolved before much longer. Yeah, Mr. Puggy wins. It could be the video card. It could be the motherboard. A little bit of experimentation. Young Ms. Angry is being very hard on herself, thinking she did something wrong. Like maybe she bent some pins when she was slotting something in, or she screwed it into it. Viola, hello. It's like, what? Why are you there? You should be here. But Thursday night's more a night for you, from our conversations, if I remember. So yes, so got to do a few things. First, going to get young Ms. Angry to look at everything she's done and see if she can work out where the source of the problem is. and she can maybe work on that. If that doesn't work, I think I might get, because before when I was looking at getting my PC fixed, I, like looked online, what computer places were in the area, and there were a lot of dial up and say things. Ooh, what's this? From Seattle, Washington. How religious is Australia compared to America? Okay. So that's me. It's my hand, just if in the window in the background. Okay. Australia is not as religious as America. In fact, if the sort of ridiculous crap that mainstream politicians say in America about, I'm doing this for God, and we're the God's most greatest country in the world ever created by God, you would get laughed out of Australian politics. There are religious people, very conservative and devout religious people in both parties, in all the major parties. But if you spouted that Bible Belt shit in Australia, you would get laughed out of politics. We do have very conservative religious groups who are lobby groups, and you have some areas more religious and more conservative than others. I mean, like notably, Queensland's the most religious conservative state in Australia. It's a bit more like, it's a northern state here, it's a bit more like the southern states in the US. But no, that whole Bible Belt shit wouldn't fly in Australia. There are definite areas that are like that, but they're minorities. They're really severe minorities, and politicians don't get all that far by pandering to them. I mean, shit, we had a prime minister who was openly atheist and was not married to the dude she was living with. Yes, Catherine, so this is like close to every second day. Certainly Tuesday, Thursday, and probably, once on the weekend. That's a reasonably safe prediction of me doing live streams this month, at least. Might not do it, things. Foreigners be like, it's only Monday. You're right, Mr. Pagart, but it's Tuesday night here. I've just been watching the finale of season 2 of the Great British Bake Off with Mrs. Angry, and I think that's 3-4 years old. But they just happened to be running it, and we're like, oh, I like that. And I hadn't seen season 2, so it was a big surprise. Didn't look up online or anything, didn't have any spoilers, so it was interesting. Yeah. Are you watching Doctor Who? Yes. Wasn't this week's Doctor Who very good? It was. It was. That was a rhetorical question. The answer is yes, it was very good. So, yes, I liked... it's an interesting thing because the look of the Cybermen in this episode, they're the original Cybermen from the planet Mondas, which is one of the very first Doctor Who adventures from 50 years ago. Mondas is a twin planet to Earth that's orbit got deviated and got lost, and they couldn't survive, so they turned themselves into Cybermen and come back. But because the effects were so shit in the 60s, the Mondasian Cybermen look really shit compared to how later incarnations looked. Like, it was just this cloth costume with a little mouth hole cut out and tin thing on the front and silver wellies. So how do you bring back really shitty looking Cybermen? They set it up really well. It's that this group of humans who were trapped and they were being poisoned by the atmosphere. They were gradually trying to replace the organic bits that were being damaged, and they had relatively primitive technology, and this sort of cloth covering was thing. They actually made a case for why did the Mondasian Cybermen look so shit, because it was comparatively rudimentary technology that built them. I thought that was really well handled. They killed Billy Hartnell. Well, I think he just died of old age, but oh, that's great. The big moving bit with trying to make you feel sorry for the person who's been turned into a Cyberman. That's something they've been doing in this series, and they've been doing it quite well. I mean, the one where you had the Cybermen and the Daleks invading Earth, and Torchwood was behind it, and the woman who was the head of Torchwood in that episode, she actually got converted to a Cyberman, and she ended up saving the Doctor because she still had her own will, even though they'd done the conversion on her, and she's holding off Cybermen who were after the good guys, going zap, 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 and she had an oil tear running down her face saying, I did it for Queen and Country, I did it for Queen and Country. The idea that somehow the people inside could still feel, and there was one where the Doctor, you know, had zapped a Cyberman but hadn't killed it, but were analysing, and they cut off the bit that suppressed the human in it. So the human in it's going, I'm cold, where am I? I'm cold. I'm supposed to be going to my wedding. And it was like, oh my God, how do you tell them what happened to her? And you know, he killed her. It was a mercy to kill her. And possibly the high point for me was the first time you had Peter Capaldi with Cyberman, and it was Clara and Danny, the boyfriend that she didn't like. The boyfriend that the Doctor didn't like became like, but when Danny had been converted to a Cyberman and Clara didn't realise that's who she was talking to, Danny inside a Cyberman suit, and the dialogue they had was so good, especially with Clara saying something about, I'm a very good liar, and the Danny Cyberman one said, confirmed. It's just like, wow, making you feel bad for the people inside the suits, like the people being converted, the Mondasians being converted in this episode, when they can communicate. One of them's just saying pain, 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 pain over again, and the other one's saying kill me. And when someone's trying to explain to Bill that it's for the best to convert people, is for the best, and she says, but they're in pain all the time, and they show the handles, the headpiece for the Cyberman, that is their latest innovation, and this will make it different. And she says, does that stop it hurting? And she goes, no, it doesn't take away the pain, but it will stop you caring. And it was just, whoa. It was just like, that's why Cybermen are the way they are, because they are actually in pain all the time. And you're right, that thing about going off Cybermen but still on Doctor Who, the conversation Davros had with Peter Capaldi was very good, but that was also when the writing on that show is good, because that was a multi-layered conversation, where it's like Davros thinks he's just outwitting the Doctor, but the Doctor is actually genuinely trying to get some humanity, some form of mercy in Davros, and say that Davros is not totally like evil, not totally irredeemable. That was quite good. But that episode with Davros, the bit that got me was the reveal. There was that thing with the war and the little kid in the war zone, and the Doctor appears and the kid's trapped in that hands, and the Doctor says, no, you're going to be all right, I'm going to save you. Tell me the name of the boy that's not going to die today. And the kid says Davros, and that was just like, what the fuck? You're right, RC, the Rastan Warrior robot cleaned up about a dozen Cybermen. But Cybermen aren't all that good. I mean, honestly, as the Daleks said when it was a face-off between the Daleks, like, you know, we are 10,000. There are, how many of you are there? 4. You will beat us with 4. We would beat you with 1. It's just like the shit talking with the Cybermen and the Daleks was inspired. It was so funny. With hey Caleb, the one, oh yeah, the Daleks saying there is one thing Cybermen are better at, you know, they are better at dying. Yes, Buron, the bitch fight of Canary Wharf. You're almost like the final bit when the Dalek got in the final bit and cut off the transmission, you almost hear him going, quick, quick, shut it off. I'm going out on a high note. I got him. That was a massive burn. Cut it off so he can't get a comeback in. It was hilarious. Whoever came up with that was a genius. A bitch fight between Cybermen and Daleks was just brilliant. And the other bit, someone pointed, the Harriet Jones joke was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. Because when she was first in, when she was just an MP and she was trying to get in to see the Prime Minister, she thought something's wrong, but rather more important things were happening with an alien invasion. She kept trying to get in, I'm Harriet Jones, and people kept saying, who are you? And she's going, Harriet Jones, MP. And then when she was Prime Minister, she kept introducing herself to people, Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, and everyone goes, I know who you are. And the absolute fun line when she actually just faces off Daleks. She's been a diversion and she's done enough to undermine the Daleks, but they've found her and she knows they're going to kill her. And she just stands and basically tells them, and you know, I'm Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, and the Daleks go, we know who you are. It was, I mean, it was awful, like, because they killed her straight after. But even having the Daleks go, we know who you are, that was hilarious. Like, when the writing is good in that show, it's very good. And when it's ordinary, it's ordinary. I mean, it's not a completely consistent show. None of the seasons have been completely consistent. And everyone has their own tastes. I mean, Dave Tennant has a lot of fans because he's so dashing and boyish good looking. I really liked Matt Smith because he had that whole childlike thing going on. But there were a couple of times when he got pushed to his limit and the steel came out, and it was like, it's so disturbing for a guy who's been doing this childlike clown thing to suddenly go, I am gonna fuck something up right now. And I really like Peter Capaldi. I think he makes it feel like a different show. It just has a different quality with him in there. And some of the things they've explored have been really good. Again, as an old person who watched original seasons of Doctor Who when I was a kid, the new ones are just streets ahead. It annoys the shit out of me when people say, oh, the classic series is the best. The classic series was fucking shit by comparison. A lot of the Doctors were good. The characters were good. The writing was usually very pedestrian. Some of them were good. But, I mean, you know, the set design, the special effects were shit. But sometimes the actors could carry it. But the new series is so much better than the original series. Not least, they call it, they put the depth in the stories, because one of the things I really liked is bringing to the fore people who get involved with the Doctor die. Tom Baker was the best of the classic Doctors. He was my Doctor. He was the one I watched. No, the BBC did not have CGI. It was all physical effects, and it really showed when they were doing something like someone's being turned into an alien because he's got bubble wrap wrapped around his hand that's been spray painted green. Oh no, the alien infection is turning me into it's turning me into bubble wrap. But you know, dodgy shit like that. Yeah, I think you're right. I see that old series didn't really have characterization. It was all just an adventure. But some of the themes that run through the new series, like, you know, being around the Doctor is dangerous. People around the Doctor die. And even if they don't, like, get killed as his companion, he has to leave them behind because, you know, in human terms, he's virtually immortal, and humans are gone like that for him. And sometimes they do it lightheartedly, and sometimes they do it really tear-jerkingly, but they always do it well. Oh yes, Roger Delgado, the original Master, smooth as fuck. He was a very cool character. I don't know if this is sacrilege, I don't really like I don't really like John Sim as the Master. I don't hate him, but I don't like him. Like his whole, like, the Master as an insane, slightly comical figure, it was okay, but I didn't like him compared to the classic Master. And Missy is so much better. Missy was awesome. That was an awesome use of a surprise plot device. Mango, okay, let's change the topic. Trump's insane. Trump did tweet something along the lines of, Obama knew about Russian interference long before the election, so why didn't he do anything? Why isn't he being charged with colluding? It's like, Trump is so stupid, the world and public discourse may never recover from someone that stupid and that fucked up and that self-centered having so much power. The fact that he has no internal voice telling him, no, that's fucked, don't say it. He just lies. He just sprays ridiculous lies, and they've got some level of credence because the president said it. And it's crazy. And it's like, he doesn't even know... He doesn't even know what words mean. Like, what's collusion's like? No, Obama gained nothing by the Russians interfering with the election. He didn't want Trump to win. He wanted Clinton to win. And he did take action. But, there's only so much you can do. It's not... Oh, it just does my head in that Trump says and does ridiculous shit and no one just smacks him across the room. Like, you're too fucking stupid to breathe, you piece of shit. There's a question, who's the lady who wants autistic kids out of the classroom? Her name's Pauline Hanson. She is a racist, ignorant piece of shit. And she caters to racist, ignorant pieces of shit. And most importantly, cowardly, racist, ignorant pieces of shit who won't even own what they are. The entire structure of their party and what they're in for is about racism and bigotry. But then they go, what? And she actually says stupid shit like, what have I ever said about racism? Like, everything that has ever come out of your mouth, every policy you have ever spouted has been rooted in racism, bigotry, and ignorance. It's just like, when someone says something that stupid, that is Hitler standing up saying, what have I ever done against the Jews? Why do you keep saying I'm anti-Semitic? What have I ever said that's anti-Semitic? It's just, when someone says something that egregious, what do you fucking say in response? Like, people say, you've got to engage, you've got to have reason. How do you have reasonable discourse? How do you engage with someone that says something so egregiously untrue, so ridiculous, so stupid? How do you engage with that? Like, it's so mind-bogglingly stupid. What do you do? What do you do? It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I just make fun of Hanson supporters, Trump supporters, because the idea of engaging is just fucking ridiculous. Like, no. When you're asking me to engage with something that is fundamentally stupid, fundamentally ridiculous, and I'm meant to argue at this level of idiocy, what's the point? Where am I going to get with that? When your starting point is so astoundingly stupid. Like, I did my head in earlier tonight, just for a laugh, going through posts on the Flat Earth Society's page on Facebook. Because there's a growing number of, particularly sports people for some reason in the US, coming out it's not just sports people, I know some rappers don't, but celebrities saying they believe the earth is flat. Everything about the earth being a globe is a lie. You know, NASA is a house of lies. If you want to do your head in, go and check it, because these people are just saying the most ridiculous shit and expecting to be taken seriously and engaged with. How do you do it? How do you engage with someone who thinks the earth's flat? See, Tendo, that's the first obvious thing. Have they not seen a picture of Earth from space? They say it's faked. They say everything to do with space and satellites and NASA is all lies. They say it's all lies. So apparently thousands and thousands and thousands of people are all engaged in the same lie. But it's not even, you don't even have to say space, because Bureau, you're right, if Earth was flat, cats would knock everything off the edge. But actual observation of mathematics, people say stupid shit like, go out and use your eyes. The horizon's not curved, is it? But people knew the Earth was a globe centuries before we had views from space. And they did that by observation. They could see with rigorous observation. They could actually work out the curvature of the Earth. They worked out how big the Earth was using mathematics and rigorous observation. It's just, but someone who's willing to say something that stupid, I mean, what do? I mean, like, you've got idiots like Ken Ham and his creationist museum, like, look, dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark. And it's just, what the fuck? What? Tendai, how does day and night work on a flat Earth? It's, the Earth's at the center of the universe. The whole thing about going around the sun, that's not real. The sun and the moon go around the Earth. That's what that is. So, but if you want to do your head in, look at the Flat Earth Society page on Facebook, because it's mind-boggling. Like, you just sit there and go, okay, how do I reach someone whose starting position is so goddamn stupid? Hi, Joe Will, how's it going? Yes, you've jumped in the middle of a Flat Earth Society conversation. Oh. Exactly, Mangun, you can't argue with people like that. It's like people say, why don't you debate with people? Because when I get cockheads on YouTube, I just block them. It's like, no, I learned years ago, I've been doing this for a long time. And I learned the sort of cockhead who comes up, you know, whether it's an MRA or a fucking Hitler apologist. Hello, Stephen, how are you? No matter who they are, if they're from some fucked position and they start commenting about, oh, what about blah, 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 they are not going to, two things. One, they're not going to argue in good faith. They're just going to go on with their fucking idiocy. Two, they won't shut the fuck up. I would let almost anyone have their say once. I say, okay, say your dumb shit thing. I'll say why your thing is dumb shit. Now fuck off. I've got no more interest in you. But they won't, because they're not doing anything else. Like, you know, I'm with a YouTube channel takes up time. Making videos takes time. Responding to people takes time. These fuckheads aren't doing anything like that. They've got all the time in the world. And also, it's from their point of view, their little world, it's just them. But I've got all these other people commenting that I want to get to. And this one fuckwit wants to take up all my time. And it's like, no. Okay, Mr. Puggy wins. Hope your laptop improves sometime. See you another time. So I won't waste time, because from experience, I know there is absolutely no value in it, because they're not arguing in good faith and they're just talking shit. And even, like, say 9/11 truthers or something, they'll say, and you go, here's how that happened. Here's the science behind how that happened. They will just go on to something else. They've got 100 stupid things and all their points are stupid as hell, and they insist that you refute all of them. You're like moon landing denies. It's just like, what the fuck? And it is such a waste of time engaging with them. There is nothing to be gained by engaging with them, so I don't. I tend to have fun because you get an email notification if I reply to a comment, sorry, fuck you, you fucking piece of shit, and then block them so they get a message from me saying go fuck yourself and they can't reply. I really enjoy doing that. Time they could be spending playing video games. Yes, exactly. Or they could do anything else. They could masturbate in a puddle of their own feces, which I'm sure they do a lot of. Just don't involve me. It's just this ridiculous idea that I should pay any attention to them. Yes, and that thing of it was Buzz Aldrin who punched the moon landing denier, wasn't it? That's a magical piece of video. The guy just accosting Buzz Aldrin at some public event about, why do you lie about feet? And it's kind of like, you could just see something snaps in Buzz Aldrin. Like, there's a fundamental thing that this fucking idiot is taking up his time with, and he just pops him. And it's like, yes, 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 yes. That was the right thing to do, Buzz. So, it was just, you know, it's what you want to do to all these fucking conspiracy idiots. And it's just like, you know, and even the people like, you know, your Alex Jones crowd who are going about the Illuminati, the New World Order, the secret society running the world. Like, whenever someone says all the world's government and rich people are colluding in like a secret society fashion, I think you've never worked in a corporate environment, have you? You have no actual experience of people running corporations, because even within the same company, you can't get people to agree and work together, let alone different companies, let alone different countries. Like, look, okay, it's no big surprise rich people and powerful people want to stay rich and powerful. And so they will make decisions that advance their thing. And rich people will bribe politicians to make decisions that are favorable to them. People in power will make decisions that are likely to increase their power and increase their time in power. But there's not this global conspiracy about it. It's just people trying to grab power and wealth and expand their power and wealth. They don't all work together, but they don't always work in complete conflict either. It's just, you know, it's just the way it is. Oh man, Alex Jones is so weird. The funniest thing was for his child custody hearing, which he lost because he's a complete fucking freak and kids shouldn't be around him. He had to say in the custody hearing, oh, all that insane video you're watching of me shrieking Karen, that's just a character. I'm just playing a character, which is true, but it's not a scripted character, and he's absolutely reprehensible. Hey, Ruko-san. Like, you know, he chooses how to play that character, and he chooses to do like vile, reprehensible things like, say, Sandy Hook was a hoax, and perpetuate the victimization of the parents of kids who were murdered. He is absolutely disgusting and vile. He is just a reprehensible, garbage excuse of a human. He's terrible. Well, see, Bureau, this is the thing. There's a difference between playing a character, like the shouting and thing, that's the character. But if you read psychological studies, like, okay, because Jones has built this web of conspiracy around him, right? I know, Mankin. Doesn't his man boobs look good when he poses shirtless and sucks his gut in? He basically looks like I would if I took my shirt off and sucked my gut in. Like, yeah, this is a natural pose. I'm completely relaxed. I always look like this. This is my relaxed body shape. No, I'm gonna die now. I've got to breathe out. Let the gut out. Ah, it's like the ego and the fragility of his ego is hilarious. So he lost his child custody case because he's a fucking reprehensible piece of shit. And then he was facing, there were 2 lawsuits he was facing, and he did this big blustery, I won't be giving in at all. Like, he said some ridiculous lie about the Chobani yogurt company, because he just says ridiculous shit and lies about people all the time. And Chobani sued him, and he's going, oh, I'm right, I'll never back down, I'll never settle, I'm going to win. He backed down, settled, apologised, and said it was all lies. Oh, Ruka-san, you know, Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Look at the photos, man. Look at Bill Hicks before he died, and look at Alex Jones now. They could be the same person. Yes, talking about Alex Jones losing. Do a vid. I don't know. See, I know I joked about, oh, do this fat bastard like I'm Alex Jones. No, I'm totally buff. I'm totally buff. I'm relaxed. I'm relaxed. This is my relaxed body. I'm not sucking my gut in. Shahatma. Yes, that was pretty good. Bill Cosby doing Fat Albert, hey, 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 when he got away with a mistrial in his court case. Is like, oh my God, that guy is just awful. He's awful. It's just like, oh, hey, powerful people abuse power and get away with it. Who knew? There were only 1,000 examples of that every year, of powerful people abusing their power and getting away with it. It's like, oh my God. You think Cosby was drunk when he said, hey, hey, I don't know. Trump's president, U2 is still making albums. Yes. It was interesting. Speaking of U2 albums, who remembers like when that U2 album got forced onto everyone's iPhone? And that's still on my iPhone because it got forced on there. It's not on my playlist. Like, I make a playlist of stuff and it's not on it. But occasionally I'm on Play All on a thing, and a track will come on and I'll go, oh, that's not actually terrible. It's kind of bland and kind of forgettable, but it's not absolutely terrible. Like, I don't hate it, but I'm just not that into it either. I mean, for me, it was probably U2's high point was the Joshua Tree, but at the same time, they were so taking themselves so seriously with that really stark black and white photography on the album. But yeah, there were good songs on the Joshua Tree album. That was a good album. That was probably their high point. And I did love the Pet Shop Boys did a really good cover of Where the Streets Have No Name, which is, you know, U2 at their most serious, and the Pet Shop Boys do a cover, like a gay disco cover, and mash it up with I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I love you, baby. And it's absolutely brilliant. It is so good. They're not really taking the piss, but they've taken what was a super serious, somber song and turned it into like a gay disco anthem, and it's really good. And speaking of which, as Viola just said, what about Turnbull and marriage equality in Australia? Well, it was really funny. At some private dinner for the Liberal Party here, a government minister, Christopher Pyne, basically said to the audience, look, marriage equality is coming, and probably sooner than people think, because it's ridiculous to hold off on it when a significant majority of the country supports it. And that got leaked. And so the Conservative rump of the Liberal Party went mental. Notably, Tony Abbott lost his shit. And also because Pyne admitted that he'd never voted against Malcolm Turnbull. So although he was a minister in Abbott's cabinet, he was voting against Abbott when there was a leadership spill. And Tony Abbott just spat the dummy and was like, blah, 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 that's not nice. I love that Tony Abbott still has delusions of relevance. Like, he's been such an asshole for the last year. He pissed off even his supporters in the Liberal Party. But he doesn't stop. It doesn't sink in with him that he's done, that he's over, that he's out. And now he's released his policy that the Liberal Party should follow to gain power and get back with Conservatives and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, dude, how do you not get that everyone thinks you're a fucking loser? I want him to come back. I want him to be Prime Minister, because that will bury the Liberal Party for the best part of a decade if that happens. I mean, they are going to lose the next election like 99% for sure, no matter what. But if he got back to be leader, it would be all over. What did Pyne say? Pyne said at a private dinner that marriage equality is coming probably sooner than people think. And it's really upset Tony. And now, because it's not official policy, Pyne was just talking. So Turnbull, in his usual spineless self, has come out and said, no, that's not our policy. We're not going to change. Like, there is a growing number of people in the Liberal Party who say this should just be a vote in Parliament, a free vote where you don't have to vote along party lines. Just all MPs vote on whether the law should be changed to allow marriage equality. And there's a growing number of people in the Liberal Party say that. And I think that's what Pyne was saying. He's going like, I know what everyone in the party wants. And it's just getting to the stage where a majority are going to push for this. And Turnbull is a wanker and a coward, and he's weak, and he thinks sucking up to the right wing will stop them hating him, and it doesn't. And I don't know why he's such a wimpy goddamn coward when he's like sucking up to the school bully as the school bully's giving him a swirly. Please, sir, may I have another? And it's absolutely ridiculous that he sucks up to them because they hate him and they're never going to stop hating him. So if he would just get something approaching integrity, oh my God. Yes. Yeah, main gun, the US having marriage equality before Australia, a little bit of a surprise. That's a good line. It's Corbyn is too responsible a citizen to run through wheat fields. That's just Theresa May and her wild anarchic life. I think I need another drink. I'm just going to get a can from over here. Empty one goes in recycling. And there I'm here. We would have had marriage equality if it wasn't for Abbott being toppled by Turnbull. Oh, well, you mean that if Abbott had led the Libs to the last election, they would have suffered a crushing defeat. That's true. That is actually true. And then Labor would have voted in marriage equality. And I noticed a reference to the plebiscite. I agree with the people who say the plebiscite is a bad idea. All that is an excuse for a lot of really hateful rhetoric. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And the idea that religious conservative groups were going to be given taxpayer money to vilify gay people is just disgusting. It's vile. And people say, oh, we've got to go to the public. Yeah. Well, John Howard never went to the public when he changed the Marriage Act. That's what governments do. They enact acts of parliament. And that is what the government should do. It's very clear a significant majority of Australians think there should be marriage equality. It's just the right thing to do. So, but yes, if Turnbull hadn't knocked off Tony Abbott as leader of the Liberals would have been creamed at the last election. Abbott was so unpopular. Orange. What's orange? Oh, that's apple mango juice. That's not going to fuck me up if I drink it. You're talking about that there. That's fruit juice, yes. So that's not going to get me fucked up. That will. That's my herb-infused vodka, which is very tasty. And that's my purple lolly-infused vodka. That will get me fucked up. This one most of all. This is my 85% alcohol absinthe. Almost gone. I'll have to get some more. Now, it's not all liquor. There's mixes there as well. So, I mean, it mostly is. That's okay. Okay, look, honestly, you picked up the one thing up there that's not alcohol. Oh, the little bottle there, that's bitters. But actually, a lot of those are empty, running empty. So, although there's a big thing of vodka and tequila I can make some new drinks with. So you're talking about the delusions in the media, about how badly did the media get with not picking Brexit, not picking Trump, not picking the degree of Corbyn's success. There was a really good piece written, someone linked me to it today, Matt Taibbi writing in Rolling Stone about how fucked the media is and how they don't get that they're in a bubble and they don't actually understand. Most people are pissed off. Most people see the growing inequality between the 1% and the 99%, and they're pissed off. And like people saying, oh no, you can't, vote for an extreme person like, an extreme lefty like Jeremy Corbyn or an extreme right-wing populist like Donald Trump. Well, people can and do. So, it's just saying this idea that everyone, you've got to be this centre thing. It's like, no, I don't really think so. How long until we eat the rich? Can't come soon enough, All that easy living of theirs, they're going to be like Wagyu beef, lots of marbling in the good cuts. There was a British comedy movie in the 80s called Eat the Rich. Had like some of the people from The Young Ones in it and whatnot. And I think Lemmy from Motorhead was in it. So, I mean, it's like we're talking about, as Viola just said, like neutrality in the media is not neutral. There's this idea, and I say this a lot in live streams and other videos, when people say, I'm going to be neutral. Like, oh no, don't be political. Don't make this political. And it's just like, that's a political statement. That's a non-neutral statement. When you say be neutral, you're saying don't challenge the power structure. Whoever's in power, if you're saying, be neutral, be fair, you're saying don't challenge the power structure. That's an inherently political and non-neutral judgment to make. You're judging in favour of the status quo, in favour of the existing power structure. It's like with the Tower fire in London, the Tories saying, don't politicise it. It's going, I don't know, man, poor people burning to death so rich people can save a couple of dollars after the Tories specifically cut down proposals to have basic standards of living guaranteed, after their political decision led directly to this event. I don't know, I think poor people burning to death so rich people can save a few bucks, that's pretty fucking political right there. I don't see the idea of that not being political. Viola, as I said there, the idea of neutrality meaning, Nazis should have a platform. No, they shouldn't. They're fucking Nazis. And like we're joking about Richard Spencer getting punched in the face. People go, oh, so you think anyone you don't like should be punched in the face? No, just Nazis. Just people who idolize Hitler. Just people who talk about race supremacy. People who talk about genocide of black people, aka Richard fucking Spencer. When you start doing the Hitler salute and saying Sieg Heil and preaching genocide, you know, you've used up any right to be treated decently. You know, you're a fucking Nazi, and there is only one way to deal with fucking Nazis, or they get into power. And, you know, you don't get to have a civil conversation with someone whose basic argument is, I have decreed that those people are less human than me and have no rights and in fact don't deserve to exist. So fuck those people. Yeah, okay, Joe, bring up a good point. I would not actually eat the rich because I think that would be gross. Feed them to pigs. Pigs like eating human flesh. Was that fantastic little bit of monologue from the Guy Ritchie film Snatch with Bricktop, the East End gangster, talking about how pigs can eat human bodies. So it's a great monologue. Good question about hate speech laws in Australia. Basically, you can get prosecuted for hate speech in Australia. Like, we don't have constitutional free speech like the US has. It's much easier to be prosecuted for saying stuff, but although you get all these lying hypocritical sacks of shit who say they're free speech advocates, they'll talk about trying to get rid of what's known as Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act, and because that says it's against the law to vilify, humiliate. There's particular language which they say they don't like. But they're liars, because there's Section 18D that has all the defences. And one is, if you're telling the truth, if you told the truth about something and about what had happened with a particular group, and someone from that group said, I'm upset, you vilified me, I'm suing you, a judge would look at it and said, no, they told the truth. They weren't being malicious. They said something you didn't like, but it was actually true. And then when people say, oh, Andrew Bolt got prosecuted because he lied. He lost his case because he lied. And the judge very specifically pointed that out, that this is going against you because you fucking lied and made shit up. So you can get prosecuted for hate speech in Australia, but you have to be malicious and you have to not be telling the truth. Unlike the UK, man, you can go to jail for being a prick on the internet in the UK. A bit harder for that to happen in Australia. But yeah, basically, there are multiple cases in the UK of people being jailed because they did admittedly shitty things, like trolling a memorial page for some kiddie who died on Facebook. But I'm not really on board with people going to jail for that. The people who have been jailed are all total pricks. But it's just like, if we're jailing people just for being pricks, that's troubling. That's bad. I would go so far as to say jailing someone just because they're an obnoxious prick is better. Now, if someone's engaging in targeted and continual harassment, I think they should face prosecution because they can ruin people's lives. But I think it's probably gone a bit far in the UK, quite honestly. Oh dear. But yes, then you always get the always hackers. It was Russian hackers. I didn't have control over my Twitter account when it said those things. It's just like, no one believes you, okay? But yeah, it's interesting. Doing free speech laws in America. It's really interesting how many of the people who talk about free speech are fucking total hypocrites. They're like, I should be able to say anything I want, but as soon as you say something I don't like, it's some terrible crime. Like, you know, like they basically tried and succeeded in destroying that footballer's career, Colin Kaepernick or whatever his name was, for his silent, non-violent protest. You know, isn't that the proper sort of free speech protest? Silent and non-violent. And yet they tried to destroy him because, how dare you? Well, isn't that free speech? I don't get it. And I mean, in Australia, they're far, far, far worse. Jordan, what the fuck was that? That was really weird. Sit down and shut up, because unless you can solve this problem by yourself, you're just adding the problem by bringing... I don't even know what point you're trying to make there. I don't know if you're being ironic, or I don't know what that was in response to. But yeah, it's worse in Australia because there is no free speech. There's a general principle, but it's not in the Constitution. There's a general principle, but there's lots of things you can be prosecuted for. But I swear to God, there's this one guy who really fucking shits me. His name's Chris Kenny, and he's just an obnoxious prick. And he says he's for free speech, but he fucking sued comedians for a dumb joke. Because this Chris Kenny is one of the people who always says the ABC is biased. And this comedy group on the ABC known as The Chaser, when he said it in the media one week in the lead up to an election, he's going like, well, you know, he's absolutely right. I mean, look at this thing that was being circulated around the ABC newsroom, and it was a really badly photoshopped picture of Chris Kenny fucking a dog. So they were basically making a joke about he thinks the ABC's biased, and they're going, he's right. Look at this awful bias we saw in the office. A really badly photoshopped picture of Chris Kenny fucking a dog. And he sued them for that. It was a fucking joke. And it was a joke about bias against him. Oh yeah, I think you're right, Tendai. I saw last week tonight when he said, if we talk about this guy, he's going to sue us, and we're going to talk about him anyway. And I think he did actually launch, I haven't watched this week's yet, where I assume he talks about it again. There's a lawyer I follow on Twitter, an American lawyer, who I think would be fair to call a free speech purist. He's a fairly rational guy, so he says a lot of stuff that I think's quite sensible. I'm not a free speech purist. It's definitely not by American standards. I think incitement to violence, and I actually just think hate speech, there should be a consequence for it. And you certainly should fucking deplatform people who go around spouting hate speech. That shouldn't be allowed in a public forum. But I saw him saying something about he hates people who talk when they shouldn't, because that's number one lawyer rule in the US particularly. Say nothing. You get arrested or the cops ask you any questions, even without arresting you, say nothing. Just because you didn't do anything doesn't mean shit. When the cops question you, you say nothing. Exactly, you're right, RC. The main conservative broadsheet in Australia is called The Australian, and they got a massive campaign to vilify someone for saying the mildest thing on Anzac Day that they disagreed with. And all the other times, people who were just being viciously, brutally racist, and the Australian publishers disgusting, vile, racist cartoons, and they go, free speech, we're champions of free speech. But you say the slightest thing they don't like, and they go on extended public vilification campaigns to try and destroy you. Hypocrisy is the one thing I can't stand. This is why I always try to be open in what I say. I don't hide where my biases are, because they exist. And anyone who says they don't have, or they're not showing biases, is fucking lying, and is usually just pandering to someone, sucking up to someone. And I suppose this is a thing where I see, you know, some YouTubers who do their topical videos and they say like, oh, no, I'm not going to take a position. I'll let you decide. It's like, you know, fuck that shit. I mean, yes, you present the facts, but the concept of saying, oh, no, you know, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, I'm not going to make a stand on that. It's just the, oh, you know, punching Nazis, you can't punch people who disagree with you. It's not a person I disagree with, it's a fucking Nazi, okay? And just, I find it really fucking spineless, and also not caring where your fan base comes from. Like literally treating fans who are fucking neo-Nazis the same as fans who are decent human beings. What the fuck is that? What the fuck? I don't get that. I don't, active pandering to fucking bigoted scumfucks and saying, oh, but I'm just being neutral. No, you're validating that sort of bullshit. And I got no time for that. Exactly, Chapman. That's a big thing. You present your opinion. People can either agree or not, or support you or not, or read you or not. And that's why, you know, probably one of the 100 or so reasons I don't have a huge channel is because I don't pander to people. There are a bunch of other reasons. One is that I should do better videos than I do. I like my videos, but I should put more effort into them. I'm thoroughly aware of that. Another thing is I'm very bad at self-promotion. So, you know, if anyone ever wants to be my agent and promote me, you know, hit me up, because I'm really shit at it. Big thing is I should stop telling people to fuck off. Oh my God, I must have blocked and told to fuck off thousands of, probably, I'm not joking, it's probably tens of thousands. Over, because I've been on YouTube 11 years. I reckon, and so I must average at least one a day. So way into the thousands. I think I must, probably not 10,000, but over 11 years, I must have blocked thousands and thousands of people. And I'm with you, Viola. Some people just need to fuck off. Oh, I'm glad you liked Daidsy's Toothless Tongue Twisters, Nathan. That was fun. He said he was hoping to come over on the weekend. He wasn't feeling up to it. And he said if he can't come over, he'll make a video on his phone. And he delivered, and I really liked it. I did slap him about a bit and say, hold your phone horizontally, not vertically. Pet hate of mine. But I liked the video, so I'll put it up anyway. All right. But yeah, that was fun. But he's not going to have teeth for ages. It's all going to heal and settle down. It'll be months. So I will get him on a live stream. Getting him on a live stream, I think, would be very good on a number of levels. I did see a comment in there about Turkey and how fucked things are getting to. Because, you know, modern Turkey, 20th century Turkey, made huge leaps and strides away from the Ottoman Empire to be a secular Muslim majority country. And the current he's a dictator. There's no two ways about it. The current leader is a fucking dictator, Erdogan, who's really, really easily provoked by mockery as well. But, you know, attacking a pride parade with tear gas, not going to teach evolution in schools. Like, religious theocracy is getting a stranglehold in Turkey, which is really fucked. Turkey's a really nice country and they don't need that shit. Oh yeah, you're right, Jory. That video that John, oh my God, my brain gone like, this week tonight, John Oliver likes a video. Oh no, there's video of, he was trying to do a rodeo thing and got his balls stomped by a horse. Like, fuck, you would not recover from that in a hurry. I have not actually been to Turkey. Through the magic of YouTube and the internet, I made quite a few friends in Turkey, and they've sent me lots of pictures and videos and whatnot. And Turkey is just such a beautiful country, whether it's the cities or the coast or those amazing caves. Is it Cappadocia where the caves are? Something like that. Such a beautiful place. I would really like to go there. I don't know that I'm going to get the opportunity anytime. Oh, your dad used to live there. Okay. Yeah, I just made friends from Turkey through YouTube, and found out how bad I am at talking Turkish because I did a collab with them. They got me to try and say one sentence in Turkey, and I took a few takes. They had to, because it doesn't look, how words look in English is not how you pronounce them in Turkish, and so they had to record the audio and say, no, say it like this. Apparently I was really shit at it, but we did it anyway. But yes, I think Turkey's a great country, and it's really shit what Erdogan is doing to it. And it feels like it's been nothing but bad news from Turkey for a few years. Everything going backwards, and really bad shit happening to the people there, which is really unfortunate. I mean, it's unfortunate whenever that happens to someone, but alright, Rick and Morty. And it's only cola tonight. I'm going to drink cola. It's only Tuesday night. I'm going to get drunk on a Tuesday. To be fair, I might. I'm just not tonight. But yes. Yeah, no. It's like all the news out of Turkey's bad. Where the violence and repression and whatnot. Drinking wine. Well, wine is win. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, the Ottoman Empire was pretty strange. No FX as the idiots taking over comes to mind. I more think Damon Albarn's song "Cunts Are Still Running the World." That always sums up like, yeah, we did all these things, we came together, we had protests, we listened to this, and but unfortunately, cunts are still running the world. So it's the way it is. And it's very interesting, like, how do you cope with stuff like that? Like, getting change to happen in the world. It seems like direct action is the only thing you can do. Like, getting involved in politics, protests, rallies, people power. That's how change happens. I mean, yeah, okay. So I'm, mouthy, smartass, making videos and comments, and people with much bigger platforms than me, entertainers and stuff, saying like, "Ooh, Trump is bad," and achieves nothing. I mean, makes you feel good, maybe gets the message out a little, but as people are very fond of saying, as like pre-World War II in Germany, the cabaret, or cabaret as the Germans pronounced it, the Wehrmacht, there's this very biting satire about how the Nazis were animals and pigs and Germany was better than them. And we all know that those cabarets completely derailed the Nazis. It's basically, entertainers can make you feel good. Entertainers can make themselves feel good. Entertainers can make important statements. But history shows us that they don't actually achieve change. That mass people power gets change. Hanging the Nazis got rid of the Nazis. The world's armies uniting against the Nazis beat the Nazis. Making fun of them didn't. Although I am in favour of making fun of them. I think we should. And I like making fun of Trump, and I like it when people make fun of Trump because he's clearly so shallow and thin-skinned and pathetic. It does upset him, but that isn't what will remove him from power. It's active political action will remove him from power. So the entertainment and the mockery is good and fine, and I think it's an important part of life, but that's not the actual change. It's not like, well, you know, I watched Last Week Tonight and he absolutely massacred Trump, so it's all going to be over sometime soon. And it's not. It's only going to be over when enough people on a massive scale make it be over. So yeah, Stendo, you're kind of right. Him having the nuclear launch codes is pretty... Oh yeah, well, Ruka said, I was on Stormfront's shit list. This is before Nazis were mainstream even. This was, oh God, this might have been 10 years ago, 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. I noticed there was some people being overtly Nazi on YouTube, and I'd had enough of it, and I made this real ranty videos, you know, shut the fuck up, you Nazi fucks. And yeah, it got to the attention of Stormfront, which was, you know, the biggest white nationalist Nazi website, and someone told me that they were talking about Stormfront, were talking about, and so I made an account on the Stormfront page and was tracking what, because I really, you know, wanted to see in case there was someone saying, you know, oh look, it's the group of them in Melbourne and we're going to track them down. I kind of wanted to know, but nothing ever happened because they would get sidetracked on, are you still an Aryan if you like to eat curry? That's not a joke, by the way. That was a really involved and serious to them conversation. The thread went on for ages of, can you be an Aryan and like eating curry? That was a really big issue for them. So that also kind of shows why, you know, they never took over the world, because they're fucking idiots. But you know, every now and then I've had groups on their own little websites saying very mean things about me, and people have told me, so I've gone to check. Stormfront was one. Interestingly, oh God, there's probably stuff on that 4chan poll about me occasionally too, I don't know, or Reddit. The other one that I really upset years ago was four-wheel drivers, or, you know, SUVs as they're called in the States, because I fucking hate them. Like, in the city, like if your work gives you a reason to do it, or if you're actually in the country or you do the off-road stuff, okay. But driving them in the suburbs, and the area where I was living, they're fucking everywhere, like outside the schools, all the fucking mothers picking up in these giant fucking Mercedes four-wheel drives that have never gone off a suburban road, and they're far too big for suburban roads, and they're fucking horrible, and everything about them is wrong, and they're shit. And I did a big spray about how having one of these is a sure sign you're an absolute fuckwit, and predictably they were really upset about it. And I backtracked some of the links that were coming in, and it was this four-wheel drive forum, and there was this big fucking hate thread on me, which was really funny. And I was almost going to use some of it in a video, because there's all this stuff about, oh, fucking running down, you know, and basically an enormous amount of violent threats about me. And this was coming because they were upset that I said they were antisocial fuckheads who need to get off the road. And their answer to being called antisocial fuckheads was to threaten to kill me. So who won that argument? I think I had the high moral ground there. Maeve Gunn, you're absolutely right about the neo-Nazis being... Yes, SUV is sports utility vehicle. They've started calling them that in Australia more often as well, which I find a bit annoying. But anyway, yes, we used to just call them four-wheel drives. And the ones in Australia tend not to be as large as the ones in America, like the Suburban, that ended up being parodied on The Simpsons as the Canyonero. But yeah, no, it's like I called them antisocial gimps who are a menace to society, and they decided to prove me wrong by making death threats. So that showed the level of thinking on their side. Yeah, exactly, Joe Will. The irony was lost on them, that their response to me calling them antisocial cunts was to make death threats. And it was like, I'm you know whose point just got proved? Not yours. But that was years ago. And over the last couple of years, it's just been the anti-feminist shit stains who are upset with me. But yeah, I think you judge someone by the quality of their enemies. Japman, that's a good question. Has the internet sped up Americanization? No, I think TV did that all by itself. I think TV thoroughly Americanized, made dominant English-speaking culture was American. Was the TVDs like, well, settle down, you kids. I got to tell you a story about the old days before the internet. You know, what TV was like. Yeah, settle down, kids, when you didn't have a choice. Okay, not just old days of TV. Like, America has always had more TV than the rest of the world. In Australia, I grew up in the country. We had 2 TV channels, a commercial one and the national broadcaster non-commercial one run by the government. The capital cities only had 3 commercial networks. So that was big time TV. 4 channels in capital cities, 3 commercial channels and the ABC. And then SBS came along, and it wasn't until the 90s that we got like cable and multi-channel stuff. So, which commercial network? In the country when I grew up, there were different regional areas had a commercial broadcaster, and they would take some programs from each of the 3 big commercial channels. So I didn't, once I like went off to uni, or when I moved to Sydney and stuff, and people talk about what they watched as kids, I only knew half of them because they had 3 channels. They would have seen stuff that I never saw. And the other thing, in Australia, you would wait a long time to see a TV show. Like if there was a hit TV show in the States, it could easily be more than a year before we saw. So we could be a year behind forever with a TV show, or sometimes 2 or 3 years behind forever. Movies would regularly take 6 months to 2 years to come to Australia. So we were so far behind in consumption, whereas now most of the time we get it at close enough to the same time. Yes, the state-run TV station is the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It was originally the Australian Broadcasting Commission, and the Conservative government at one point decided they were corporatising it, and it became the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So it's kind of funny that one of the big commercial broadcast networks in the States is called ABC. Oh yeah, Stephen Talbot. You think you're behind on TV movies? Okay, another thing for you kids to settle down. You think on the commercial channels in Australia that you wait a long time for the movies to go on free-to-air TV, and yes, you can easily wait a year. When I was a kid, 5-10 years was common. Like, the movies that were shown on TV were so fucking shit in the 70s. They were all 5-10 years old. It took forever for a movie to get to TV. So now that it takes 6 to 12 months to get on TV, that is so much faster than it used to be. You think you're joking, Jatma? Gone with the Wind for life? The movies with that too, like the fucking Sound of Music and what, just the shittest movies were on TV. It took forever for a decent movie to get on TV. In the pre-video days, you had no control. It was just so fucked. Then, you know, video came out, and then the window between when something was on at the cinema and when it came out on video shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And then concurrently, the gap for when it was on TV shrunk as well. But oh my God, TV was so shit when I was a kid. Cricket interrupting cartoons as a kid. Yeah. Just watched ABC. Oh, Jahatma, you watched shit. And I swear to God, I wasted my life as a kid. Coming home from school and just watching the same shows repeated. Like endless loops of like F Troop and Gilligan's Island and all these other shows that were just repeated again and again and again and again. Foxtel has an Indigenous channel, NITV. I watch some shows on that sometimes. Foxtel has a lot of channels. It's got about 6 religious channels. It was okay. It's a funny thing I want to go into. Okay, obviously I make videos saying I don't like this thing. This thing shouldn't happen. Blah 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 blah. But I often think, and you know, I'm a bleeding heart lefty, you know, extreme lefty, commie, whatever you want to say. But I like to think that I maintain some level of rationality as well. Like I'm able to accept that's the way things are. And I just thought of it when I mentioned Foxtel having Christian channels. Because I saw someone wanting to have a big campaign. You should boycott Foxtel because they've got this guy, you know, one of the televangelists, I think his name's Joel Osteen. You know, they're all scum, but they're all over these Christian channels. And they want to boycott them because this guy Joel Osteen's on, because he's homophobic. I mean, do you not get that that's mainstream Christianity? I agree that it's wrong, and I will speak out against it. But the idea that you're going to boycott a TV station because it broadcasts something that is actually mainstream Christianity, that's just fucking stupid. I mean, use your energy somewhere better, as far as I'm concerned. It's just like, no, it's like you're living in this la-la land where that's not mainstream Christianity. I tell you, and just Benny Hinn. I tell you, they're all going to hell, none more than Creflo Dollar. The worship, the guy, it's in his name, the worship of money for that guy. He's going straight to hell. Welcome back, Caleb. Bulgaria's pretty chill. Cool. And you have nice beach. I would, actually, I've never really traveled Europe, okay? And I would really like to, not least because I, you know, made lots of internet friends who are in, you know, various parts of Europe. And I'd like to visit them. Yeah, that's the most fun thing. If you get to visit someone, if there's someone you know locally, if you have a local guide. That's why I often do with my friends from other places in the world. If they come to Melbourne, I'll always take a little bit of time to show someone around. So I just think that's fun. But so yeah, I'll always give, you know, guided tours, do little trips with people and that type of thing. And yeah, I'd love to go to Europe and particularly meet up. Like when I've gone to the States, I've met up with internet friends there. When I've gone to UK, I've met up with internet friends there. So I'd love to do that in Europe or Asia too, for that matter. Because yeah, get someone to show you their own world. Be great. Yeah, Brisbane's close to Europe, Chapo. You're absolutely right. Hey, the cat's reflection. You're a Zimbabwean. Okay, that's cool. I used to cohabit with a South African. Ex-girlfriend of mine was South African. Obviously, she moved here. That's probably, Mrs. Angry is English, although she's been here for 20 years. Well, Stephen, if you're in Melbourne in 6 months, we might be having one of our YouTube meetups. Ah, the $1 trillion bill. I came so close to buying all those ridiculously large Zimbabwean currency notes. They were in... Oh, Luke, you were starstruck. Okay, fair enough, buddy. I know people say that to me. I just find it really funny. Yeah, Tendai, I think I would steer clear of Zimbabwe, quite honestly. You know, nothing personal, but so long as, like, Mugabe's in power and there's that level of unrest, I think that's asking for trouble, and I wouldn't do it. God, it reminds me of a funny story. I worked for Lonely Planet, the travel guide company, years ago, and there was a story that they published on the website. Someone saying, like, you know, or everyone who starts off, they want to be a Lonely Planet writer. There's a whole process you have to go through. There's a training thing. You have to write some spec pieces and and then eventually, if you're good, you will get the job. You will travel to other countries to write them up for Lonely Planet. And this one guy, he wrote a story about his first assignment. It was for 3 African countries. My geography shit, and I can't remember. I think it was the Central African Republic and Chad, and it might have been Democratic Republic of Congo. It was 3 Central African countries anyway. And he thought, wow, this is going to be so exciting. Africa, I'm going to go there and I'm going to write. And what he didn't know is because traveling in these countries was so fraught, it was actually the shit job they gave to newbies, because no one who's done it will do it twice. And so the guy's got his old guidebook. Right, what do I have to update for the old guidebook? Lonely Planet recommends the Royal Exchange Hotel on Main Street of the capital city. Oh, look, it burnt down. It's just like... Because like 2 of the 3 countries had had civil war since the last guide was written. So half of what was in the guide had been leveled, just didn't exist anymore. And I just thought, that's a pretty fucking evil trick. Getting a young, starry-eyed person, I'm going to travel to these exciting places and see new things and write about it for people. And it's just really fucked. They're virtually in war zones. RC, I understand why you would think people were trust fund wankers, but from my experience, they weren't. The travel writers weren't. They were young, and look, they were comfortable white kids, so they could afford to not be making a lot of money, but they got to travel as someone else paid for it. But my experience was the people they're writing weren't trust fund kids. I absolutely understand why you would think they were, but they were fairly independent. The ones I met anyway, they were fairly independent. They were getting the travel paid for by Lonely Planet. And there was a lot of... I'm not saying you're completely wrong. I'm not saying there wouldn't be anyone, but I completely understand why you would think it. But the thing is, there was so much competition to get a job writing for Lonely Planet, because everyone thought it was going to be great until they got the job, and then it was really hard. So it was the running joke inside Lonely Planet. Everyone wants to be a Lonely Planet writer, except for Lonely Planet writers, because it was a really tough job. But, it's not digging in a coal mine or anything like that. But it wasn't lazing back and having a holiday. It was actually quite stressful. And everyone always felt a great sense of responsibility as well. So that really weighed on people. So people didn't do it for very long because it was really stressful and fucked. Chaz, yeah, that whole thing about gap years and Rick saying, look, I'm helping, and getting your Instagram photos. It's very easy to do that wrong. I think you can do it not completely wrong, but I think a lot of people do stumble into the I'm helping and you're not. And in fact, some of the organizations who put Westerners in impoverished countries are actively hurting. I think your guide should be that you work for something that's locally run, that isn't run by a foreign outfit, maybe supported by a foreign outfit, but if the hierarchy in the country isn't local people, I think that's a warning sign. As obviously, like, yeah, again, spoiled kids going off into some impoverished country and I'm helping when it's just for their ego. They can, it's also easy to swing too far that way and always being critical, because you can find people who do good and work with, but it usually has to be a local outfit. If it's a foreign outfit, the risk is much higher that they're not actually able. It's like that, we all remember, Coney 2012. Oh, maybe we do. I remember Coney 2012. Everyone, for a very brief time, got very impassioned at this idea because the propaganda film that was done for it was very effective. It was very emotive, touched a chord with everyone. And everyone, we've got to do something about this evil guy who enslaves child soldiers. They're stopping. But it turns out that the people who put it out were really fucked. They were a foreign, uber-Christian, very interfering country, and they were using outdated information. They were being very selective in what they put, because the guy they said they were supporting was really no better than Coney. He just wasn't Coney. And that's the other thing. It's not always simple. In fact, it usually isn't cut and dried, like good, bad. It's funny, like Tony Abbott got made fun of for his really mealy-mouthed response to how would you fix Syria, and he goes, well, it's not that simple because it's not just goodies and baddies, the fact, which was the dumbest shit thing to say, but the essence of it was true. Anyone who's trying to boil it down to we're going to oppose this group and put all our support behind this group, you're going to get in trouble, because there are multiple factions and there are aspects of probably every faction that you'd look at and go, ooh, no, geez, I'm not sure about that. Oh, I'm kind of not on board with that. That's a thing for you. But it's like, okay, so the fucking tyrant who's in power has got to go. He's got no reasonable people disagree with that. But what happens after that? So you don't completely fuck it like the Americans did in Iraq, just destroy the infrastructure and leave a power vacuum. Don't do that. That's really fucking stupid. You got told ahead of time not to do that, but you did it, and it's now blown up in your face. Don't do that. But so just saying I'm against Coney because he does bad things, and saying so therefore I must be in favor of this guy. This guy does shit that's just as bad. And it's just like, it's really fucking ugh. Well, you're talking about the Middle East, how fucked it is. It's like things are complicated. There's no getting around it. Everyone likes the idea of, we could all work it out, but there are so many sort of conflicting drivers around the world, and the Middle East. I mean, the area that's known as the Middle East is so many different cultures, and the idea that you can come up with one thing that would fit everyone is fairly ridiculous. But that's the policy that's driven Western politics for the 20th century and to today. Like, let's just mold them into a shape we want, regardless of what they want internally. And it just keeps fucking up, and people keep doing it. It's like, do you not learn? The last 20 times that fucked up, it's going to keep going. Hey, Steve, just chilling in Malaysia. You're in Malaysia. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, so, well, it's nice to hear, but I'm probably going to go soon. I've been going for about an hour and a half. Might get ready to retire for the evening. Got a few things to do before I go beddy buys. Got a work day tomorrow. You're right, there's the thing, yeah. So when you get real morons, just fucking nuke them all. Well, despite the fact that's a crime against humanity, and it won't solve anything. It's like that people are so bad with cause and effect. It's like the whole thing of, oh, let's, like Trump actually saying, like, murder the families of terrorists. Do you think you would create more or less terrorists if you started murdering families? I'm just posing it as a question. What outcome do you want? If you go from mindless retribution, mindless revenge, is that going to make your situation better or worse? You know, Joe will, like Trump and everyone around him is a bellend. I mean, on a smaller scale, raising kids. When my daughter was really little, be out something, and then she'd gone out shopping with her mum, and she's got like all this completely new outfit or something, or like her mum's bought this stuff, and I go, why did you buy that? She doesn't need more clothes. Oh, she saw it, and she said she wanted it, and I went, but that's like wasting money. She doesn't need more clothes. Oh, but she just kept saying how much she wanted it and didn't stop until I got it. Okay, just think about this for a second. There's a little kid. When you weren't going to get her something and she just kept saying she wanted it and wanted it, and she got it, next time, do you think she'll be more likely or less likely to make a scene? Because you just taught her if she makes a scene, she gets what she wants. Why can't people see cause and effect? It's like, drives me crazy. It's like, you've got. I understand the impulse for revenge. I mean, when someone does something shit, I want to lash out as well. And so, okay, look, that's my warning. For some reason, it just went very bad connection. So it's probably going to buffer anyway. So I'm going to go. I will be back, of course. Maybe a pre-recorded video tomorrow. Maybe a live one. Who knows? Could be either. Who knows? It's a crazy world. But you will be seeing me again later in the week. So thank you for joining me. I've had a really good time, as always. I hope you have too.